The night had been quiet, just the soft hum of chatter and the clinking of cutlery inside the small-town diner. But everything changed in seconds when the woman in the corner gasped, clutched her throat, and began to choke. Before anyone else could react, Ryan, a single dad who'd just finished his late shift, was out of his seat. His instincts took over. Within moments, he'd saved her life. She was shaken, her eyes filled with gratitude and something else, something unspoken. They shared a moment neither of them could explain. And days later, when a sleek black car with tinted windows stopped in front of Ryan's modest home, he had no idea that one act of kindness was about to change his life forever. Ryan had lived simply since losing his wife 3 years ago. His world revolved around his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, a bright, curious little girl who loved sketching flowers and asking endless questions about her mom. He worked double shifts at the local auto garage, coming home tired but always with a smile for her. Their lives weren't easy, but they had warmth, and that warmth was what kept Ryan going. That night at the diner had been an accident. He'd been too tired to cook after work, so he'd taken Lily for pancakes. The woman who sat alone looked out of place among the regulars' elegant dress, diamond earrings, and an air of loneliness she couldn't quite hide. Ryan had noticed her but didn't think much until he heard the sharp gasp. He'd acted fast, performing the Heimlich maneuver until the piece of food dislodged. She'd coughed, shaken, then looked up at him, eyes glistening. "I don't know what to say," she whispered, voice trembling. Ryan had smiled awkwardly. "You don't have to say anything, ma'am. Just glad you're okay." She'd asked for his name, but before he could say much, her phone rang, and she hurried out, apologizing. A sleek car had picked her up, and she was gone before he could process what had just happened. Days passed, and Ryan almost forgot about it. Until that evening, a Thursday, cold and windy, when he was helping Lily with her homework and a knock echoed through their small house. He opened the door and froze. A chauffeur stood there in a black suit beside a luxury car, holding an envelope. "Mr. Ryan Cole," the man asked politely. Yeah. Can I help you?" "The lady you saved the other night wishes to express her gratitude. She requests your presence at this address tomorrow evening." He handed over a thick, cream-colored envelope embossed with gold letters. Ryan blinked, stunned. Inside was an invitation not to dinner, but to a private event at one of the city's most exclusive hotels. Attached was a handwritten note: "You saved my life. I'd like to return the favor. Elena." He didn't know what to think. Lily's eyes lit up when she saw the fancy paper. "Dad, are we going to meet a princess?" she giggled. He chuckled nervously. "Something like that, sweetheart." The next evening, he borrowed a clean shirt from his neighbor, made sure Lily was with his sister, and drove his old truck into the city. The hotel was unlike anything he'd ever seen: crystal chandeliers, marble floors, and a valet who looked shocked when Ryan pulled up. He almost turned back, but then the driver from before appeared again and guided him inside. Elena was waiting near the grand piano. Gone was the fragile, trembling woman he'd saved. She looked confident, composed, radiant. "Ryan," she greeted softly, stepping forward. "I wasn't sure you'd come." He smiled shyly. "Honestly, I almost didn't. This place isn't really my scene." She laughed gently, her eyes warm. "It's not mine either, sometimes." Then, lowering her voice, she added, "You saved me that night. And you didn't even hesitate. You didn't know who I was, and that meant more than you realize." He shifted uneasily. "You don't owe me anything, ma'am. I just did what anyone would." She shook her head. "Not everyone would." She gestured for him to follow. "Please, come with me." She led him to a side hall, away from the glitter and noise, to a smaller, quiet room. On the table were folders and documents. "I know you're raising your daughter alone," she said gently. "Your garage owner spoke very highly of you when my assistant asked." Ryan blinked, startled. "You looked me up?" "I wanted to understand the man who didn't walk away." She smiled faintly. "You reminded me of my father. He was a mechanic too. Built his life from nothing." Her voice wavered, just slightly. "Before he passed, he taught me one thing, that the richest people aren't the ones with money, but the ones who still choose kindness when no one's watching." Ryan didn't know what to say. "That's very kind of you to say." Elena looked him straight in the eyes. I own several auto shops across the state. I'd like you to manage one. Full salary, benefits, everything. You'd never have to work those endless shifts again. He stared at her, speechless. You're serious? I don't make offers I don't mean. He felt his chest tighten. It wasn't about the money, it was about the chance to give Lily a better life. Still, pride held him back. I don't know if I can accept this. I didn't save you for anything in return. Elena smiled gently. Then accept it for your daughter. Sometimes blessings come in strange packages, Ryan. There was silence, then he nodded slowly, emotion glimmering in his eyes. All right, thank you. As months passed, Ryan's life changed in ways he never imagined. The new job allowed him to spend more time with Lily, who thrived in school. Elena often visited, not as a boss, but as a friend, someone who shared meals, laughter, and memories of loss. There was warmth between them, something tender that neither dared to name at first. One evening, as Ryan was locking up the new shop, he saw Elena waiting by his truck. She smiled softly. I came to check on my favorite manager, she teased. He laughed. I think you just needed an excuse to see Lily's latest drawing. She nodded. Maybe. Then her tone softened. You know, that night at the diner. I was eating alone because I just walked away from everything that didn't feel real anymore. I thought my life was empty. Then you showed up. Ryan looked at her quietly. Funny. I thought my life had already ended the day I lost my wife. But maybe saving you helped me start over too. She stepped closer. Maybe we both saved each other. Under the streetlights, with the faint sound of city life in the distance, they stood there, two people broken by loss, bound by an act of kindness that neither could forget, and as Lily's laughter echoed from the shop door, Ryan realized something simple yet profound. Sometimes, the life you save is your own, just hidden inside someone else's second chance.